Good evening, folks, and welcome to the call. Super glad you're all here tonight. So, I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about how blame and punishment can foster compliance, which is something that I feel like a lot of parents, especially when we're just fresh out of the mainstream paradigm, may be looking for. Um, but troubleshooting the problem and troubleshooting the problem can foster critical thinking and problem solving, which can help build lifelong skills that are applicable in every area of our lives. Problem solving and critical thinking are applicable to pretty much any aspect of this experience that we're having here on earth. They're incredibly strong skills to bring to your relationships, to bring to your workplace. They're incredibly strong skills even in school. And critical thinking and problem solving, as I mentioned, they're skills. They are something that we learn, and they're not just something that we know how to do directly from the beginning. And I would correct that a little bit more to say I feel like children are actually really great problem solvers and critical thinkers. And one thing that I find to seem quite true is that it's actually through mainstream parenting and trying to garner compliance that we kind of squish critical thinking and problem solving out of people instead of honing it and bringing it to the forefront and really encouraging it. Um, you know, when it comes to blame and shame and punishment and guilt and all of the mainstream ideas, they really may or may not garner the compliance that you're looking for. Some people, as people are incredibly diverse, some people will absolutely comply. They comply out of fear, they comply to conform. Everybody kind of wants to fit in, to be cool, to be okay, to be part of the community, because as humans we're pack animals, and that need to be part of the community is really deep seated. um, and some people won't comply as much when we use those tactics of um, punishment and blame, and the more coercive tactics for trying to get people to comply. One story I tell a lot, and some of you listening may have heard it before. um, some years back, I was visiting my brother, and my nephew was like dive bombing off the back of the couch over and over again. And his mom, she was talking to me, and so she wasn't really focused on what was going on, but she kept saying, oh, stop doing that or you're going to get hurt. It didn't seem to impact him. And then so um, she starts resorting to threats. Well, if you jump off of the back of the couch again, I'm going to spank you. And he looks at her and he laughs and he jumps off the back of the couch again. And she actually does it, not super bad or aggressive or anything, but she does it. And he laughs again, climbs up to the back of the couch, and jumps off the back of the couch again. And, I like to tell that story because it reminds us that garnering compliance from people is hit or miss. And your control and power that you have over another person definitely ends at your line of vision. And what I mean by that is the influence that you have on somebody, the amount they're going to value your word and take away the positive from the things that you have to say. um, that's going to end when you're not looking. If you're trying to garner that respect through force and punishment and coercion, and a lot of times, even like I was saying, telling this story, a lot of times, even when we are more forceful like that, uh, you're it doesn't have the impact that you had desired or hoped for. In gentle parenting, when we see a problem, it's really about trying to find ways to work through that problem. If we see a child engaging in a behavior that we find less than desirable, um, we could certainly tell them to stop. Um, we could suggest, redirect, have them do something else. Um, we could, try and talk through it and work through it. And, um, some of these ideas, they might not be the worst ideas. But here's the thing. If there's a thing happening, if there's some kind of a problem, then there's an underlying reason for that problem. And if we're always addressing the stuff on the surface, we're not getting down to the underneath to really help somebody to get the tools that they need to work through whatever it is that they're going through, like right in the here and the now. Um, I like to really I know it can be really hard because there's a lot of ideas out there around children and what they are and aren't capable of. And we ourselves come from a much stricter and punitive type of a background. So it can be really hard for us to let go. But when we let go of punishment and control, we really find ways to help somebody navigate through things. And when we're navigating through things with a little bit of grace and finesse, when we're finding solutions to problems, when we're trying different things on for size, we're like, okay, well, this didn't work very well. I fell short of my mark. Maybe we could try this next time. What are your ideas and your solutions to this? And we lean into our children and we trust that intrinsically they also have a lot of wisdom to bring to the table as far as like what skills might work for them when working through a problem. If your kiddo is struggling with explosiveness, give them are actually a little bit less likely to be applicable in the moment or useful in the moment than the ones that they creatively come up with themselves. And the same for goes for us as adults. Like I could sit here and troubleshoot a whole bunch of ways that you can remain calm when you're navigating through your day to day. And some of those tools that I offer, you might be able to implement them and find them really useful. Some of the tools that I offer, you might not be able to implement them at all. They just don't fit. They don't work right. You don't like them. And there's like this whole gray area of how much the things that I suggest might work for you because um, they're not really a part of your intrinsic nervous system. And of course, we can program ourselves to use these other tools. But when we creatively look in from our own perspectives and we think about the different things that might have helped us in any certain moment, the different ways that our bodies felt, the different ways that we reacted and responded, the different times when we felt like maybe we could have made different decisions if we had, made the different decision, and we really lean into that, we can find a lot of useful tools within ourselves that maybe aren't the ones that everybody else is suggesting. And our kids can really bring a lot to the table when we include them in that conversation of like, say I'm feeling emotionally compromised. What are my tools for working through that? For me, I like the active tools. If I'm having a hard time, I want to get up and shake it out my fingertips, go outside and walk in a couple circles. Something that actively gets that out of my system so that I'm feeling like I can manage my emotions. Other people, they want to, do some meditation type practices. They want to breathe deep. They want to look inside themselves, maybe do some visualization. Um, so all of these things that are our tools for working through hard emotions, for working through difficult situations, for working through some kind of an argument in a relationship or anything like that. All of these tools, like there's a great big huge toolbox out there, and there's an infinite amount of tools that can be applied. And so leaning into ourselves and our children and working through all the different ways that we might be able to respond, that is honing these skills that I'm talking about, the critical thinking skills and the problem solving skills, and um, helping them to come up with creative ways to hold themselves accountable and to feel good about it, creative ways to talk to somebody that they've hurt, and ways to apologize that would feel really good, and all of these different things. When we're working through the underlying issues that created the problem to begin with, we're building these amazing lifelong skills as opposed to shutting them down with parent terminology like do as I say because I said so, and you know it's my way or the highway, and a whole bunch of ways that we shut kids down and don't include them in the problem solving conversation. And then we play judge and jury and start doling out punishments and blame and shame and all of this other stuff in the mainstream paradigm, right? Um, and what that does is simply double down on these like really mainstream ideas, and our children are learning that and taking that away and learning, when there's a problem, we find somebody to point a finger at, we find somebody to punish, we find different ways to you know gain control of a situation, as opposed to leaning under and really taking off that band-aid and finding ways to show up in this world in the ways that feel best to us, that feel most aligned with ourselves. So I will leave it at that and get to the sharing portion of the call. Hopefully, you all found this helpful. Let me get to the right page and shut off the recording here.